Autism is a disability affecting a child's development and social behaviour. It's a life condition caused by a disorder of the brain. In Ireland, there are an estimated 5,000 autistic children of school-going age.
Your role in life has suddenly changed. You go from being a highly expecting parent to being a special needs parent. There are huge moments of celebration along that road.
It's good to take a step into their world, and they in turn will take a step into yours.
Autism currently has no cure and no single confirmed cause. The disability usually shows itself in the first 3 years of life with widely varying symptoms. Autism can affect the senses, speech and language skills. Socialising may be difficult. Early diagnosis and therapy help autistic children live productive lives. "23-year-old Sean Foley lives in Kerry. He and his father Kevin spent much of their life in the UK. They moved home 8 years ago.
All the Foleys up to my grandfather, were born up this hill. And my other grandfather, was just born down the road, same situation really. So I've got very strong family ties in the area.
Kevin Foley is a teacher. He gave up full-time work to mind Sean. But now that Sean is more independent, Kevin does some part-time work back in Nottingham.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all right, boy.
Yeah, good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
My dad's a Kerry man, left here in 1940 to go to Manchester for work, and Sean's got loads of cousins. The first time he actually got to play out and play kick the can was here in Kerry. I hadn't been able to let him out the door, over in England, really.
Sean Foley has a type of autism known as Asperger's. A person with Asperger's may have the ability to speak, but not necessarily a sense of word meaning or nuance.
Asperger's syndrome is different from classic autism, because of the speech element. But having speech is not the same as knowing when to use it and what volume to use it. A point my dad frequently reminds me of when I walk up next to him and shout, like I'm at the other end of the garden. Asperger's itself can encompass problems with social skills and that, socialising, with people, relating to others as such, yeah.
It seldom travels alone, autism, either. It usually has something along with it. So he has coordination problems. And there's another thing called dyscalculia, which is the sums equivalent of dyslexia.
Asperger's can be difficult to diagnose. As a child, Sean went through many tests.
The first assessment I went for was when I was age 3. There was no diagnosis then, and then there was another assessment age 6 because of the problems I was having in primary school.
Now, Sean gives talks about autism and Asperger's. It helps build social skills.
Sean has had difficulty in understanding what is expected of him, settling into an already established daily routine. Sean demands, expects instantaneous, undivided attention. At the time, I was in an autistic bubble to myself, really. I wasn't aware I was acting any different to any other children. I'd wander around the playground by myself, really, I got diagnosed at the age of 12. Come on, sit.
After Sean's diagnosis, his problems continued.
I left primary school and went to secondary school. I only became more aware of my problems there, really, when the pressure started to mount on me in terms of homework and that, in terms of dealing with people in the corridors and everything like that,
Before coming to Ireland, Sean Foley struggled at school. Difficulties increased as he reached his teens.
Somebody like Sean, when they hit secondary school, would be going from lesson to lesson and finding PE difficult because of the coordination, finding maths difficult, geography, and basically getting a message of failure all the time. Soon after he got his diagnosis, the educational psychologist was flagging up the possibility that he was, you know, approaching a meltdown. And I saw it myself, because I was picking him up from school, you know, a couple of days a week, you know, he'd be in tears or close to tears.
You know, to see him every day, you know, when they come out in tears, you know, was the one great hope of reassurance I had, really. I could get through it, you know. I just wanted to get out of the environment I was in, so over the summer of 2002 we decided to move to Ireland, we did, and my dad started home educating me there.
At the end of the day, I thought, well, to hell with this. Whatever was coming out the other end wouldn't be worth the risk of staying. Having Asperger's, you know, you combine that with, you know, depression as well, and you've got a very, very tricky outlook. So it was the easiest decision I ever took in my life, really, was to extract him from the system and home educate him.
In Kerry, homeschool lessons were adapted to suit Sean's needs and abilities.
PE was always a nightmare for him in terms of getting changed, in terms of being picked last for football teams and things like that. So, what do we do now? We just, me, him and the dog, we'd head off down the beach. We'd practice drop kicks, good for coordination. So that's what we did. If it was a sunny day, we'd head off to the beach and play football. If it was a rainy day, that's when we'd stop in and we'd do the other stuff, you know.
If you want to teach a person with autism life skills, you've got to have the environment just right you have. You can't do it in an environment they're not happy in, because they won't want to learn, basically, you know. It's good to take a step into their world, and they in turn will take a step into yours.
Kevin focused the syllabus on Sean's interests, which included history. Sean also learned practical skills, like handling money.
Maths, well, we made maths functional in terms of, you know, what you need to do going into shops. It was great because you could just see, you know, all the failures sort of dropping off his shoulders. And hang on, I can do stuff. You know, I can succeed in things. You know, and success breeds success, you know. I knew very little, if nothing, about autism, Asperger's syndrome and what have you. At the time, you are hoping that developmentally things will happen and there's some expert will come along to fix things along the way.
Sean Foley has now learned many life skills. It means his father Kevin is more available for teaching work in the UK. For weeks at a time, Sean can live independently, manage day-to-day routines, and get to his occupational therapy sessions alone.
Hi, I'm here for my appointment with Roshi.
There's an expression that a boat or a ship is safest in harbour, but they weren't built to stay in harbour. And I'm not going to be around forever. The only danger is you set up so much scaffolding around somebody that when you take the scaffolding away, they can't cope, which is, you know, this is why we're on the distance learning phase of the exercise at the moment.
What the ball does, it's just, it makes sure that you're not using all those shoulder and arm muscles.
My dad, he works for a few months of the year in Nottingham in England, and then he comes back and then goes away again. So as such, to give me the independence, really, I need, you know, and earn a bit of money for himself, of course. Hi, Sinead, how are you? Come in.
Fine, how are you doing?
I'm grand, yourself?
An outreach worker visits Sean every week, but the service has a waiting list.
You can shape it into, you can do sort of exercises, you know, for your hands, like, you know.
I suppose it's semi-independent at the moment, so I'll just turn up and ruin his routine then for a few days, and you know, we're always pleased to see each other, but it was the right time. You know, there comes a point when you need to step back.
In Ireland, families living with autism face new challenges every day. In some cases, school closures and funding cutbacks put further strain on parents, but they still find ways of creating brighter futures for their children.
He's taken control of the condition for himself, and I think getting out of the way and letting him get on with it, and that for me is the most gratifying thing. Sean's very resilient. He's got a lovely sense of humour. He's very kind, very giving. He's more empathy, and all of these things, I suppose, are not supposed to come as standard, but he has them in bucket loads, you know. He's just a nice lad, you know, and I'm very proud of him.